I want to support my favorite podcaster, but how? Welcome everyone to another episode of the Value for Value show. I'm your host, Kyron, the host of the Mere Mortals and Mere Mortals Book Reviews podcast as well. But this is the podcast for those digital content creators who want to connect deeper with their audience and find ways for their audience to connect more deeply with them. Indeed, we're going to be focusing on how your audience can help connect with you today. This is going to be particularly for podcasters and podcasting, but we're going to see some interesting stuff coming out with the Value for Value music, and I believe even some video stuff in the future. Stay tuned for a couple of episodes time for that. I'm going to be doing a bit of a different one today because it's a live audio, but with a pre-recorded video, because I'm going to be doing a run through of all the cool podcasting apps that allow for boostagrams and allow for people to send in support to you with messages that you can receive on your phone, on your desktop, within the actual app itself. There's all sorts of really cool ways that we're going to do that. Today is the 11th of October, 2023, and I'm coming here from lovely sunny Brisbane as well. I've got all my audio panels set up here. I've got my lighting set up. So this is probably one of the best produced ones I've ever done, actually. So it's kind of cool. So I am going to be talking to this pre-recorded video, so it's going to be hopefully a best of both worlds, or maybe the worst of both. Lol, we'll find out, but we'll see how we go. So if you are tuning in live now, I'm going to start playing the video, and you can follow along with me here now. So basically, what are the things that we want to be doing for someone to support you is to actually get some money, how are they actually going to be able to do that? And so we're going to be acquiring some Bitcoin on the Lightning Network. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. It can also be acquired through things like Strike and Cash App, wherever you are in the world, but I'm going to be showing you the Alby browser extension. So this is going to be the probably easiest way for anyone in the world to be able to get to, because all you need to go is to a website. So as you're seeing right now, if you go to getalby.com, there's ways to log in. I'm going to skip the login process, and we're now just looking at what you actually see. So you've got a way of being able to receive Lightning from different addresses, Bitcoin from a different address. So if you've got the Cash App or Strike or something like that, or elsewhere in the world, wherever. And then you can actually top up within the actual Get Alby section of the website. So this is where it'll be connected to like MoonPay, and basically all you need to do is have a debit card or a credit card or something like that, and you can do it within there. They're going to suggest big amounts. I would suggest just do it with something small. So if you've got a favorite podcaster you want to support, just put in, like $50, $100, or something that is worthwhile to you and that you can feel you can afford. Now, there's all sorts of things that are really beneficial for podcasters as well. So if you are listening in or tuning in and you're a podcaster, a Get Alby address is kind of a necessity at this stage because it can link to so many different places. And if you're a supporter and you want to, and you're like, I don't want to deal with all of these things, it's pretty cool because you can do this almost one and done. And then Get Alby is really going to be able to let you access across various different apps. So there are other ways. Some apps have a built-in mechanism for you to earn it. So this would be things like Podfans or Fountain, which have these gaming mechanisms. And then others have ways for you to top up within the actual app itself. So Get Alby is pretty cool. You can only do this on the desktop at the moment, but it does have some functionalities that will allow you to connect with things through the mobile, using these different podcasting apps. And there's all sorts of other things that'll show you your transactions and things like that. Let's jump on to the first app, which is Fountain. So Fountain is a podcasting app that's pretty recent. And I suppose one of the best features about it is that it really focuses on the boosting on the social aspect. So if you're going through it, you see there's all sorts of notifications of when people have liked or sent you small portions, 10 sats, 100 sats here of Bitcoin. And they really do focus on showcasing, okay, this is what other people are supporting their shows, other shows they're supporting. And you can see big amounts with the Baller Boost section. They've got hot shows, and I think the discoverability on there is really cool for this aspect of seeing what other people really like. And they're staying ahead of the trends as well. They've just implemented the Hot 100 tracks, which are value for value music as well. And you can see as you go through it, it does have this social aspect. I've got my own profile. There's a whole bunch of followers on that and people following me. And you can see when I've created clips and comments and things like this. So it's very much a podcast. It's a really solid podcasting app. And I've chatted with one of the founders, Oscar Murray, 3 times, I think, on the Mere Mortals podcast. So you can really get an aspect or a find out of what he is like. And you can see as well in the app. So the app is really good. It's my daily driver, and I've ordered all of these based on how much I use them personally. So when I'm kind of giving these recommendations, they're recommendations based on what I actually use. So when you go into the app and you're playing a podcasting episode, you'll see there's the boost button. You can stream in certain amounts as well. I'm just writing here to a show called America Plus, which I really enjoy, by Cole McCormick. He's boosted in a couple of times to this show itself. So it's kind of this, continuous cycle that goes on. And yeah, basically what you just do is you select an amount that you want. I really like 2s, so also known as a row of ducks, and because they kind of look like cute little ducks. And so I'm just writing a message to him here saying, I'm boosting along for the walkthrough of this show. You're going to see this multiple times happening. Really enjoy what you're doing. Great episode, Cole. Then I hit the boost button, and then confetti flies everywhere and things like that. So Fountain, it's a pretty good podcasting app. I really enjoy it, and is definitely my daily driver. The next one I'm going on to now is Podverse. And so Podverse is an app that's been around for quite a while. It's on desktop and mobile, and so you can kind of connect with both of them. I'd say it doesn't have as much social aspects as Fountain, if any, to be honest. But what it does have is the connection with Alby. So with Fountain, for example, all of it was kind of built in. They had their own built-in wallets. With Podverse, it's relatively easy to connect your Alby account. All you need is the password and your email or your username that you used. One click, and then you're back in, and you're like, oh shit, I can actually support. So you can see here they've really focused for Mitch on I guess like the accessibility aspect. So I was showing transcripts and things like that before. At the moment, I'm going into the Office Hours 2.0, a show by Chris Fisher, which I really enjoy. And you can see it brings up the chapters and images, and it's got a whole lot of the podcasting 2.0 features as well with that. I really just find it intuitive, this app. It's the queuing, for example, I really enjoyed. The transcripts, I mentioned the accessibility. It's open source, as I mentioned in one of the last episodes, talking about that as well, and you can search in the transcripts. And Mitch himself, the developer of this, or one of them, actually has just quit his full-time job for at least the next 3 months and is working on it full-time. So really, really cool with that, and you can definitely expect to see more podcasting 2.0 features appearing. And really, really awesome app that I use quite a lot for different features, like I said, for that queuing. So I find that really useful for when I'm learning German and things like that. Once again, I'm just writing a message here. You want to just look out for things that say boost or boostagram and write a message to them. Now, how does this actually get directly to them? Well, they will have the podcaster, and if they're set up for value, not all of them are at the moment. I think there's about 12 to 14,000, somewhere around that range. Go back to the stats again. You can see when you're sending in a Boostagram, at least in Podverse, you can see where it's exactly going to and the amounts, which I think is actually really cool. I do like that feature, knowing, okay, this is where my money is actually going to when I'm supporting them. The confetti flies up, shows on the screen, so you know it's gone through. Everything's really cool. You enjoy doing that, and it gives you a warm feeling inside. So that's another app there. Let's jump onto the desktop version. So this is Curiocaster. It's been around for a while, and so this is a desktop-only app. Once again, connect with Alby really quick. Once you've got this Alby thing set up, it's so simple just to connect to various different apps, and you can try out different ones. And Like Podverse, for example, you could do listen to a show on the desktop, and then if you bring up the mobile, it would be there as well. Curiocaster, like I said, it's been around for a while, and it's part of Stephen B's app emporium. I've talked about Stephen before. It's not really his main focus at the moment. You could kind of see there he's got this discover page, which hasn't been updated forever because my the Mere Mortals podcast is an old logo I was using from ages ago. But once again, the connection, you can change your stream settings. And he has been focusing on music a lot. I'm bringing up now the Boostagram Ball, which is Adam Curry's show about value for value music. And then there's this other awesome one I stumbled upon recently called Into the Doorful Verse, DOERFEL, and then verse. And it's this band of like this family, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, cousins, who are all just these amazing musicians. Episode 7 of that was hilarious. It was such a good, one of the most intriguing podcasts I've ever come across, to be honest. But yeah, Curiocaster, it's got a lot of the functionalities, chapters, transcripts, shows even just like different apps you can support in the show notes that Boostagram Ball's showing. And he's very much focusing on music at the moment. So he's got his other projects of like LN Beats and the music side project and the split kit. So there's this great episode he did on Bowl After Bowl, an interview actually, showcasing like how he's really into self-sovereignty and, you know, what this app means to him. Because it's on desktop, it's really easy to write out these boostagrams and things. You're not fiddling around with your fingers and whatnot. So I find it a lot quicker if I wanted to write a big message to someone, as in, you know, more than 500 characters, that sort of thing, or 400 characters. I would do that, and it's also super quick. All of his stuff works really, really quickly on the on Curiocaster. Let's jump on to another one, Podfans, the new app on the block, the new kid on the block. So I've actually had Sam Sethi, the founder of this, on the Mere Mortals before, if you felt like checking that out. And this is a progressive web app. So you'll notice with a lot of these, they have a desktop and a mobile version. Probably about half of them have that. And if they don't have it already, they're planning on it. I know Fountain is planning on creating a desktop version. And the good thing with a progressive web app is you only have to use kind of one code base. And so when they make changes, they go out everywhere and they go out instantly. And so Sam has basically put every single thing that he could find into this. So it's got the value time splits, it's got pod roll, it's got transcripts, it's got value tag, it's got everything in here. It can also, cook your dinner for you. So what's really cool about this is Sam cares a lot. It's likely to have some growing pains. This literally came out, I think, a week and a bit ago, 2 weeks ago, at least for the mobile version of this. But thankfully, it's really sweet. Once again, you connect with Alby, and the cool thing with this is you can earn sats in here. So you can see on the screen here, I'm just basically earning things by doing actions on it. So, playing a podcast, becoming a pod fan, writing a boostagram, creating a clip. He calls them, I think, actions or prompts, or I forget the actual terminology, but basically you can earn 10,000 sats just by using the app itself. You don't even need to come in with a wallet if you don't want. You can just play around, do things, and you'll find like, oh shit, I'm actually getting a little bit of money here. Like, what's all this for? What's this? This is kind of cool. So basically, I think he still needs to work on some of the aspects of the intuition, because he's put so much into this that finding things can be a little bit difficult at times. Like, you just want to hit the boostagram, but it's like, oh no, wait, I have to go into the episode itself and then find it. I know he's fixing this, and I know he cares a lot. So this is a really, really cool thing that he's up to here. You can see at the moment he did a interview with Mark Asquith pretty recently on, I think it was called Podcast Accelerator. And so I'm just coming into here and I'm writing a boostagram saying, really enjoyed the show. He can actually do it so that you can boostagram in at a certain point if you want to. This hasn't been used much. I know I personally, when people boost into my show, I just don't have time to go back and find at what point they exactly boosted in. Usually you have a good memory and it's obvious from the message itself, but I know sometimes it can be like, oh wait, they're referring to something of a 3 or 4 hour episode from weeks ago. Like I've just forgotten. I don't know what they're actually referring to there. So having this ability to actually check it out and know when they boosted will help you as the podcaster go back and find. And speaking of that, he's actually creating a lot of things in here, much like Fountain did, where you as the podcaster can actually access a lot of these capabilities that your host might not have. So for example, the pod roll, you can go into Podfans and you'll be able to create a little pod roll for your show there once you've claimed your show. There's all sorts of other little hidden goodies in the back end. It's kind of like a mini hosting solution in a way. So it's useful in that aspect of just jumping in and being able to try things out. I boosted into the show there. And yeah, a very cool app, one to definitely look out for and probably is going to jump up on my list. Podcast Guru is the next one that I've got here. So it's a mobile app predominantly, although I have seen they've got a cheeky web app in the beta version. It's very solid. It's been around for a fair while. A couple of these other ones, such as Fountain, Podfans, are really, really Curiocaster. They're all recent, only a couple years old. This one's been around since 2018, and they're really just jumping now into the podcasting 2.0 aspects. I think they were looking for a little bit, and now I know Jason, I've been chatting with one of their developers or founder. I'm not exactly sure what he is, but you can do things, change your name. I would recommend trying to do that instantly whenever you're wanting to support into a show. It is important to look, I know as myself as a podcaster, if someone boosts in, I want to be able to thank them properly. And so if it's just listed as anonymous or user 2635425 blah blah blah, I'd actually prefer having a username to be able to actually thank someone. So Podcast Guru, they've if you look into their little blog section, they've got some cool stuff there related to what they're actually doing and why they're doing it, why they're starting to adopt 2.0 tags. Really great for discoverability. I really like their search function. I find that one of the best things about this app itself. You can see now I'm jumping into podcasting 2.0 here. Similar to how Podverse does it, it brings up a big section showing where your support is actually going to, which I really, really enjoy because I know I myself have multiple splits on most of my shows. And so I like the people at home to know, oh yeah, you're actually supporting not just me, you're supporting like 6 different people if you boost into this show. Once again, doing my standard amount here. The numerology is kind of important. It makes it fun. So if you want to send in a birthday boost or a anniversary boost, send in a row of 4s if it's the 4th anniversary. I know on the office hours, the Jupiter Broadcasting shows, people like to boost in their postcode, their zip number, which is kind of a fun little thing. You can make a game out of it. One of the cool things about Podcast Guru is the lightning. It's kind of cool. It's different from the confetti. I like that little touch to it. And it also just highlights that with all of this boosting and stuff, sometimes it's going to be a bit extra. It's not necessarily going to be the amount that you think it is because there's fees and all sorts of other stuff. Let's jump on to another one here. This is Podfriend. We're going back onto the desktop for this moment, although I believe this is a progressive web app as well, so you can get it on your mobile. This has been around for a long time. A short time, but long in podcasting 2.0 world. So he was right there near the start, I suppose. The cool thing with Podfriend is Martin focuses a lot on the design aspects. So it's really slick in terms of moving from place to place, intuition, everything just kind of looks really nice. And he's got a little section of a pop-up showing, okay, this is what a boost is, this is what it means. And so you could see that Podfans also has a very helpful section of prompting of being like, this is what this means, and this is how you can kind of earn from it. So very similar, boosting into a show, type out a number that's meaningful to you. I wrote a row of sticks here, a row of Richards, which is a funny one. And I'm just boosting into the Pod News Weekly at this moment. Previously, I was boosting into the Podcasting 2.0 show. Definitely another show that you should check out to know about all of these things, especially if you're more inclined to the tech sort of stuff. And so yeah, Pod News Weekly, how I actually found Podcasting 2.0 was through James Cridland, one of the hosts of that show. So very helpful one to get to. You boost in, and another cool aspect of it is that it's just got these features like if you bring up a certain show, Podcasting 2.0, for example, you can see the different faces popping up of who's talking with the transcript, which is just a nice little feature. He unfortunately isn't working on it super hard as much as some of the previous ones that I just mentioned. He's got a full-time day job. This is Martin Murton. So yeah, lots of stuff going on with him. So he's that app, don't expect it to be constantly updating with all the cool new things like much of the others. Let's jump on to another one, Breez here. So this is the second to last. This is more of a point of sale terminal with some podcasting chucked in. It was kind of funny. So if you go into the app, you have to click on the top left corner, really make sure you're finding the podcasting section. Otherwise, you'll be like, what the hell is this? It's very, very simple interface, which is actually nice in a way. It uses the Anytime Player background. So if you've used Anytime Player before, you'll notice it from that. Real simple. It only shows value-enabled shows. So if you're looking for other shows outside of that, this is not the place to come. It's only going to show the 13,000 that have enabled this. And yeah, once again, very simple interface. You go in there, click on a show, you've got your boost button, you're streaming, and once again, it's a basic one. It's not designed as a podcasting app. It's a Lightning wallet with some podcasting attached in. Now, the good thing about that is you can top up within the app. It's got a lot more functionalities in terms of sending your Bitcoin elsewhere. So if you wanted to use it, for example, to send some money to a guy at the local Bitcoin meetup that I go to who has cooked some steaks. You saw that right at the start of this section where it was saying, sending some money to Brisket for his steak. So just writing a small message here. If you want to know more about Bitcoin, I'm sending this Boostagram to the Generation Bitcoin show by Macintosh. He's got a Lightning Network update. Very, very handy and helpful for that. And for the last one here, we're on to Castamatic. So this is an iOS only device. So I've used this maybe once before because I have a Android phone. So I did manage to grab a friend's and be able to use hers. So once again, this one you just connect with Alby, type in your details, and so you can see me doing the full login process here using one of my accounts. All of this stuff, it's important to recognize all of this is kind of new. All of this is kind of untested. It's tested in the sense like we've been using it for a couple of years, but there's always the chance that something could go wrong, and you don't want to be using lots of money for all of this stuff. So I would put it this way: whatever amount of cash you keep in your physical wallet or something that you'd be comfortable keeping on yourself, don't exceed that for any of these things. So for me personally, I wouldn't want more than a couple of $100 on any of these, because if I lost more than that, that would really suck and I would feel bad. So you can see, like at the moment, I've only got like 10,000 sats, 20,000 in this wallet, which I was testing around with, and because I use it everywhere. So there's a chance I could do something wrong, I could be something silly, etc., etc. All of these apps are pretty good. And they've been very trustworthy at this, after multiple years of using it. But there's always the chance that money can go missing. So just keep that in mind if you're boosting in or playing around with any of these things. So Castamatic, it's like I said, I haven't used it much, but I've heard that it is, in terms of just an actual app itself for the audio experience, it's probably one of the best ones. And you'll see some of the aspects here. When I get to it, it's got a lot more functionalities in terms of being able to vary your speed, change the volume levels, enhance this, de-enhance that. So in terms of the actual experience of listening to audio, this is probably one of the best ones. Once again, this is just a recommendation I've heard from others. So Can't say particularly. At the moment, I'm just sending a boostagram here to Curry and the Keeper. This is another one of Adam Curry's shows. So just, helping to support him and spreading the word, I suppose, of value for value, so people can try all of these different apps. And, hopefully people will come to the video of this and be able to see, oh, yeah, this is actually kind of a cool thing. Once again, the confetti comes up. And yeah, I can't give too much recommendations on this particular one, but it does have the very nice experience of the audio, and then it also has, some functionalities attached in here as well. So that is going to be the end of the actual video section of highlighting the apps. And there was 8 there that I listed through, and I'll talk more in the kind of tips section about how you can actually think about these things, how to make sure you're on top of everything that's going on. So until that, though, I'm going to get into my Boostagram Lounge section and shout out some people who helped to support the shows. This is a value for value podcast, the value for value podcast. And I just do really appreciate anyone who is sending in support via all of these mechanisms that I was just talking about here. So because we are on the 11th, I'm going to have to jump back to the 4th here. Once again, I can see lots of Podfans donations coming in. I really would recommend checking out these live episodes, because they do just provide a different dynamic. You could, for example, have been watching the video along with me as I was doing this, which would have been kind of fun. And so I saw some payments here from Adam Curry and Sam Sethi. That was for the streaming. Thank you very much. I see here Kolomona, and he says, good show. I enjoyed your thoughts on the similarities between open source and V4V. So Libre, Lightning Thrashers, rock on, lightning. So he sent 3,333. There's some lucky numbers there using Fountain. Thank you very much. And he comes back immediately afterwards and says, another great show. Thank you for sharing your numbers. It has helped inform my expectations for my V4V show, Lightning Thrashers. So this is one of those value for value music DJ sets, I suppose. So he plays music. I'm not sure if he talks in the meantime. He probably would about the music as well, or introducing what the next song that is going to come up. Value switches, and then as you're listening to that and supporting that, money then goes to the artist. So once again, this is all about helping to support your favorite artist, your creator, and to be able to send them a message at the same time. So me, for example, with all of these messages, they kind of need to know what they're doing. And if they don't acknowledge on the shows themselves, it might be worth reaching out via any of their social medias and saying like, hey, are you receiving my messages? Because I've done that before, and it kind of sucks to think that you're sending them support, you're sending them money, but it's just going out into the wild and they're not actually realizing it. So this is just about education, people knowing that, oh, you can actually send a message within the app. And me, for example, it goes onto my Discord, it goes onto my Telegram, and I check the wallets where, like Alby, where it says the message in it as well. So very helpful in terms of that. Just worth recognizing that sometimes people won't necessarily know that it's going directly to them. I see Ainsley Costello was listening in. I see Taylor Williams was listening in. Thank you very much. I saw Chad F before was sending some big numbers coming through the his streaming payments were huge. They were like 600 and something. So thank you very much, Chad. They were pretty much boosts right in there themselves. Silvia Dos Santos, Sam Sethi, all of these coming through Podfans. So very, very much appreciated to be able to see the streaming. I don't normally see streaming from the other apps, but with the way Podfans is set up, it's coming through into my actual section here of being able to see that. So that's why I'm calling them out. So if you were streaming and I haven't called you out, apologies for that. It's just not as visible as it is through Podfans. And then I've got 2 last ones here. They came in today, very early morning for me. One just says satoshis.stream, 50 sats sent using Breez. Okay, thank you. It's rare to see a Breez one come in, so I really much do appreciate it. And this is from Premitive1. And he says, satoshis.stream. This is Prem from Miami. I host Bitcoin Brunch Sundays and co-host the Saturday Night Lit podcast. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, my friend. 1234 sent using Breez. And I do appreciate that you changed your name, because a lot of those that come through from Breez are Mint Lion, and I've been guilty of this myself. You have to go into the kind of top left corner and change your name, which is I never even, I don't think you could change it before, but now you can, which is very, very useful. So yeah, thank you everyone who helped support the show to stream in. Really warms my heart, gladdens me that all of this stuff is getting used and that people are being able to support their favorite artists, their content creators, and things like that. And it's just so cool. It makes so much intuitive sense to be able to send a message and support someone directly within the podcasting app versus, imagine if you're on Instagram and you're watching and you're looking at someone who puts really great photography up there. And imagine you're seeing all these photos, you're appreciating it, you want to reach out to them or support them, and so you have to go onto Twitter or you have to send them an email. It makes zero sense, and it's just so it's an extra barrier. Whereas all of this stuff is just lightning quick, and makes so much sense to do it within the actual app itself. So I'm so glad all of these apps are coming along, and there's so many different options as well. So there's no real excuse to say, I don't like this app because blah, blah, blah. Well, try out one of the other 7 different ones that have these functionalities. So, which gets me onto my little tips section here. So what's really powerful about all of this is they all play well and follow a similar style. So if you've got a Podcasting 2.0 app, you're new to this, you want to help support a podcaster because they mentioned like, hey, you can do this via a Podcasting 2.0 app. You're like, okay, well, I go in and I get it. The experience of using a new app is like, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to do this. All I would say is, one, check out this. I've done a full walkthrough so you can get a visual representation of what you need to do. I can't troubleshoot every problem, but I hope this has helped. But you can also just look for things like lightning bolts, like the words boost and value for value. They typically will show up, and they're typically within the actual episode itself. So once you're playing, that's when you see on the screen, oh, I can do this. And if you have an app which doesn't do that, it might be worth reaching out to someone, to that app developer. So say you're on Overcast, you might be, or Podcast Addict, might be worth reaching out to them and just saying like, hey, I want to do this, but you don't have it in your app. Are you going to support that, or things like this? And you could even just try out one of these ones. Now, by their own admission, these guys aren't competing with each other. So Oscar Mary, Sam Sethi, what's his name, from Castamatic, Franco Solario, Mitch from Podverse, they would all say they're not competing with each other for these functionalities. All of these functionalities are ways of drawing people in from the bigger apps. And so it's like, because a lot of them, for example, don't play nice. Spotify, they're trying to create their own little walled garden. I've talked about this before, where all of these features that we have, it's because everyone's playing nice and agreeing to play by the rules. But Spotify's like, no, I'm going to create my own chapters, and I don't really give a shit if it doesn't work elsewhere. I'm doing this just because it works for me. I'm going to create video. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to send out RSS feeds. They're not playing nice, and so if you want to use some of these features, you'll have to reach out to them. But I personally don't see them ever adopting these sort of things because they don't want to. There's other reasons. So, for example, Apple just doesn't really innovate. They've been able to create chapters and transcripts and things like this forever if they wanted to. It's not hard technically, but they just don't want to innovate. They don't want to create these new things. Whereas the podcasting namespace allows all of these different apps to come in and create things in an environment which is fostering that kind of open source, that ethos of everyone's here to create something new, to innovate, to do something fun and exciting, and agree to play by the rules, which aren't set in stone. You have to do this rules. You can help create the rules yourself. So all of these app developers, they've all made suggestions to help improving this and to make things work. And it's a really cool environment to come into. I really like it. Or these other apps, for example, Google, they just straight up don't care. They just got rid of the Google Podcast. I think it was the 3rd or 4th biggest app in terms of downloads, and they're like, no, we're just going to scrap it. You can go over to YouTube Music. It doesn't really make sense. It's probably not available in your country, but you'll be fine. And it's like, all right, well, why should I care? Why should I go over to YouTube Music if you're not creating new things and doing stuff which is awesome, such as this, being able to boost and podcast and support creators and make the world a better place, dare I say. So a lot of what you'd like as well tends to be driven by small things. So I'm very much using these apps because I love the ability to boost in. You yourself, that might be the fifth priority for you, but you really enjoy the audio experience. Okay, well, maybe try going on to Castamatic, give that a try. You might really like accessibility features. Okay, well, Podverse has that for you. Or you like the ability to be able to play on your desktop and then play on your phone, and it automatically knows exactly where you are in that same point in the episode. Podverse does that great. Podfans, I imagine, will do something like that. You might like the ability to have something that goes really quick and is lightning fast and just works basically every time. Go over to Curiocaster. You might want the social aspect. This is where it's worth going over to Fountain and being able to interact with people within the actual app. You can create a little social environment there. You might want something that is more better for discoverability. This is where I would say Podcast Guru kicks in. You might want something that is more of a functionality to be able to use the wallets to be able to send this Bitcoin and stuff you've got elsewhere. Use something like Breez. You might just want something that looks nice and has like a couple of cool features. Try out Podfriend. There's so many different reasons to try them out, and you'll find out eventually like, oh, okay, I really like this one just for this one little feature it has. And the cool thing is that there is so many different ones here. So that's a lot of information for you there. I'm going to go to my app and service highlight here. Look, the list of all of these can be found at podcastapps.com, or if you go to podcastindex.org/apps, that's where it eventually links to. What I've shown here is probably only going to be relevant for, 6 months, 12 months, if that, because there's so much new things coming out. There's so many exciting things happening, and new apps are popping up all the time. 2 weeks ago, Podfans was not available on the mobile. A year and a half ago, a couple of these apps weren't. I wouldn't have talked about Podcast Guru, for example, because they only recently added stuff. All of these things are changing, adaptable. And so if you go to this location, podcastapps.com, it's got a good list showing there and showing all the features that they have. What you'll notice is that the ordering there is based on how much they've adopted of the new namespace. Do they have podroll? Do they have value time splits? Do they have transcripts? Do they have chapters? All of these sorts of things play a role in that. And so what you'll notice in that big list, and you'll see on your screen at the moment, is that the ones which have most of these features are the ones that I talked about just now. It's because these app developers care, because they want to make it a better experience. And so you'll see on the bottom of that list, there's a whole bunch of apps that are there, but they might have only adopted 1 or 2 or 3 of the tags, and certainly not the most important one to me, which is the boostagramming, being able to send value back and forth. So there's things like, Sphinx, Podstation, and even on the Podcast Index website where you can send in boostagrams as well. I didn't talk about those just because they're not really in development. They aren't that interesting of an app per se to go to, for example. So, the Podcast Index website, that's more of a directory. It's not really an app. Podstation, yeah, you can listen to it, but it's a browser extension, which I haven't heard much about him, the developer, creating and making things more exciting and doing stuff with that. So I didn't really talk about that. And Sphinx was one of the first places you could actually send in boostagrams, but they've gone a very different route and they're not particularly a podcasting app. So I didn't talk about those ones, but in the future, I probably will talk about more that will come through. So if you just want to keep ahead of the latest things, the Podcasting 2.0 show and even Pod News Weekly are probably the best places to learn more about what's going on in the app world. And you'll probably hear podcasters when they start finding out about this stuff saying like, hey, try out some of these apps. And so here's a good list of them. Here's 8, which I think are pretty rock solid. Let's wrap up this episode. So it's the value for value section. I always, for this show, well, at least for this season, I've been giving 15% of my splits here to someone who I think is worthy of development, of doing cool, really, really cool things. You'll notice if you go onto the Mere Mortals show, I have, I think, 5 or 6 app developers within my splits there. And I've been doing that for a fair while, but one person I have neglected was Jason from Podcast Guru. So 15% of this episode is going to go to him because I have supported most of the other app developers, or at least the ones at the top of the list that I use a lot. And I'm starting to use Podcast Guru more, so I really appreciate him and just want to send some support his way. I might be doing an extra video really focusing on the step-by-step guideline on how to boost through Podcast Guru, because we were chatting back and forth, and it sounded like something that might be useful to him and useful to me at the same time. So there could be another little video like this popping up on I'll probably post it on the Mere Models channel, or if Podcast Guru as a YouTube, maybe on there. But yeah, just want to support. I'm very big on supporting app developers, and so if you support this show, if you support the Mere Models, you are supporting these app developers at the same time to creating a better product, to making an application to rule all the other. No, they're not trying to rule them, but certainly to create something that I believe is better than things like Spotify and Apple, who, dare I say, they don't care about creators. I'm putting it out there. I've said it. So how can you support this show? Well, there's 3 different ways you can do this: through time, talent, and treasure. Look, share this episode with someone. I've done this in audio and video form, so I would recommend, for this one in particular, the video aspect is pretty important. So sending this to someone, being linking to this episode. In fact, if you are a podcaster and you're recommending to your friends, to your supporters, to whoever it is, hey, I'd love you to help support the show. This is how you can visually do it. You need to get a new app. Here's 8 different ones which you can test out, have a look at, go through this walkthrough. If any of them seem intriguing to you, grab one of them. So linking to the video that I've created for this would be very, very helpful. I would very much appreciate that. Joining me live as well is always kind of fun. I do enjoy the interactions. Hasn't been too much today. And it was a bit of a weird one. I saw one here asking, wait, from the beginning of that video. So I should have been a bit more clear at the start to say, like, press the video now, that because I set up this little one beforehand. So the video you'll see is the Schmick, looks beautiful one. You can join me. You can help support me with some talent. So I think I've set up this room pretty good, but if you're still hearing some audio, some feedback, if you think there's an app that I should have talked about more, if there's something that you think I missed, please reach out to me and I'll do like a little make good, or I'll talk about that on the next episode. Resources that are similar to the ethos of what these apps are doing, and hell, even some like book recommendations or other apps that you think are really interesting or enjoyable. Anything that you think would be useful to me in creating the Value for Value podcast and creating a better podcast, and talking about ways that digital content creators can be supported. I'm very intrigued to know any and all of those things. And then the last one, you know what to do. I've just given you a whole freaking bunch of things that you can do to help support this. So you try out one of these apps is all I ask. You don't have to boost to me, to the Mere Mortals book reviews, or to the Value for Value. Just boost to a creator and help spread the love, spread the joy. All of the splits and stuff. I don't think I need to talk more about that. So we'll leave it there for today. Thank you very much. Only 3 more episodes coming out for this season, where I will be talking about a bit of a clips and compilations section. So showing how casing you can do value for value as a podcaster, and the kind of techniques very similar to what I did in season 2, which was showcasing how other podcasters were doing that. I think I'll do another read-through of that, but in a whole big bunch section. I'm going to be talking about video and how you can help support video creators through Value for Value. and then I'll do a little sum up and farewell, but not to worry because I'm pretty sure I'll be starting season 4 only after like a couple of weeks or a month break or something, because I'm really enjoying this at the moment, having a lot of fun doing it. So so that's it for the moment. We'll be back same time next week, doing the same thing, going over value for value and finding out how you can help support creators. So we'll leave it there for today. Ciao for now. Kyron out.